Hello. Welcome back to another YouTube video here on my channel. Today's video is going to be all about who's in your inner circle. This is something that I have put a lot of focus on here recently, and if you were to go back and ask my younger self who was like viewing what I've been doing these past couple of years, that version of myself would have probably gone, "You're so mean, like, wow." And now that I've experienced cutting people out of my inner circle, I've realized that you really do need to make sure that you protect yourself, your energy, the environment that you operate in, because when it comes to reaching your goals, you have to really be in a good place with the people that you keep around you, as well as your environment. So in this video, I'm just going to share some of those stories that I've gone through so that maybe you can use my life circumstances as a way to kind of help you navigate maybe what you should be doing here in 2025 to create a better environment for yourself so that you can thrive and connect to your passions and move towards your goals. So the first example that I wanted to use was just a long-term friend. And I think that this is something that a lot of us may struggle with, because someone who's been in your life for a long time, a lot of times it's really hard to say goodbye or let them go. And I was in a situation where this friendship became very toxic to me, and it put me in a position where all the work that I was doing to try to grow my business, to connect myself to people that helped me learn the things I needed to learn or connected me to the people I needed to be connected with, this friendship was like spreading poison into everything that I was doing. And because they were a long-term friend, I didn't want to believe that cutting them off was the solution, but that was something that I needed to do. And after I cut this person out, I realized that I was able to complete things in a faster pace. I realized that the other people that I needed to be around showed up and were around more often. And I think that when it comes to having those types of friendships, you've got to realize that sometimes there are people in your life that choose to live in chaos. They choose to live in an unorganized, not very structured life, and that impacts you. And for me, I am someone who tries to respect time. I try to show respect to people around me, and this person didn't have any respect for any of those things. And because of that, it impacted me personally when it came to me growing my community space, when it came to growing friendships or professional relationships that would aid me in moving towards my goals. So be careful when it comes to friendships, because a lot of times they want you to stay the way that you are because the person that you were when you all meant something to them in one way or another. And a lot of times those friendships can be in a position where they will judge you for the person that you're becoming and make you feel a certain way about the growth that you're trying to achieve in your life. Because a lot of times, sadly, if you're not dealing with people who have matured in life, they compare themselves to you, and based upon where you're at in life is how they can make themselves feel good about themselves as well. So if you're both in the mud and you're both not doing well, then they can allow themselves not to feel as bad that they're not taking the steps forward towards their own growth. And when I realized that this person would sabotage their own success, and I would dive in to always be the savior or the person trying to help them through it, I realized that no matter how much work and effort I put into helping this person, they would always ruin that success and be right in the same spot as they were when we started, before I put all that time and energy into trying to help them. So When I realized that and started to kind of move towards people who were goal oriented and who took action, I started to realize that I enjoyed being around people who were more similar to me in the fact that they set goals for themselves and they would achieve them. They would set a deadline and they would achieve those goals by that deadline. And so, yeah, I realized that that friendship had to come to an end, and not all friendships have to be completely cut off, but this was a person that when I tried to put distance and when I put more energy towards the people that were helping me towards my goals, that were investing time and energy into helping me take steps forward, this person became more toxic and more demanding and would show up in spaces where they would distract me from me moving towards success. And that was something that didn't work for me, because it's important for your friends to respect the growth that you're trying to achieve. And this person didn't do that. Moving on to the next thing that I experienced was in the professional world, when it comes to you finding people who are aligned with the things that you're trying to achieve, but still aren't taking the steps required for them to succeed. And a lot of times these people will latch themselves onto you and what you're growing and try to claim that they had something to do with the growth or success that you've achieved. And that's something that's extremely toxic, because I've been in workplaces with people where I'm sharing space and working hard on what I'm trying to achieve. And I would also occasionally leave that stuff on the side and help them with their things. But then when I walked back over to my table to work on my projects, these people would start to say, oh, well, I helped you with yours. Why aren't you helping me get to where you are with mine? And one thing that I realized was I was doing tons of work on mine, and they would offer small little amounts of help so that they could claim that the success that I was experiencing was partially due to them. And when you compare the 95% of the work that I've done myself, and then they do 1% here, another 1% there, and then when I'm doing well, they want to say, you wouldn't have gotten there without me. And that was something that for a while really hurt me, because I was like, oh yeah, you guys aren't finding the same success that I'm finding. I'm not sure how this is possible. Like, yeah, I will put my projects down and I will work with you to try to help you towards yours. Then I started to realize that in between when I was able to help these people, there was zero progress being made. So it wasn't the fact that these people wanted me to help them the way that they were helping me, those small little bits and pieces. They wanted me to do the 95% of work that I was doing on my project for them on their project. And they wanted to get the success that I was achieving by doing the 1% on their own projects as well. And that was something that took me a little bit to realize, because I spread myself thin a lot of times by helping so many different people. But after I started to realize that there are people out there who do that, that's when I started to say, okay, there's got to be distance. I cannot do all the work for you. You have to actually put in the effort. My success that is coming in is due mostly to me. And that was really hard for me to say at first, because I have always been a person who my biggest fear is being alone. And my head was always like, I have to do as much as I can for the people around me so that they want me in their life. And then I started realizing that it was really sabotaging all the goals that I was trying to achieve for myself. And if I allowed these people to come in for the 1% that they offered to do for me to help me, I wasn't getting to my goals if I didn't put the work in. So when I started shifting towards people who did put in the 95% and needed my help with the 1% here and there, I realized that these people were getting to their goals, and I was surrounding myself with people who actually achieved things like I was achieving. And there wasn't that jealousy or that friction in our relationships, because these people were also go-getters. They were people who wanted what they set their mind to, and they took action to get there. So that's another example of people you might want to stay away from, because they are the type of person who plays victim when in all actuality they're not doing the work. Another professional relationship that I've recently had to end was due to the fact that this person felt that they were a victim to me or of something I've done. And I realized that this person was someone who kind of created their own chaos. I'm the type of person that I give and give and give. But like I said with the prior example, like, I'm starting to need you to show me that you are capable of doing most of the work yourself, because we're all individual people. And yes, I may have strengths where your weaknesses are, and I can help you with those small things. But when your weaknesses are in every category, maybe you are jumping into the deep end when you need to start over at the shallow end, because it's not my job to help you float in a place where you're not able to swim, especially if it's the permanent space that you plan on being in. You need to go back and learn how to swim, because I realized that this person, I kept giving advice, they wouldn't take it. So it's like, instead of wanting advice on how to succeed, they just wanted me to do things for them so that they didn't have to learn how to do those things. And I started to realize that this person also really couldn't take feedback. They much preferred everything to be very sugar-coated. And when I was trying to help them see, like, hey, the reason why people aren't connecting to what you're offering is because it's too much. It's too much for them to take in. You need to understand that if you want beginning level clients, people who are brand new to this idea, they don't know anything about what you are coaching them on, then everything that you give them has to be bite-sized. It has to be at that first step space for them. And this person didn't want to communicate to people and have conversations with the people that they were serving, and therefore the content and things that they were creating were far higher than the level that the clients were coming in at. And this person got very offended by me giving them critique, saying that I was very rude and that I ruined their whole event that they were hosting. And I was like, wait a second, like, I was promoting you for months prior to this event. I've been connecting you to people. I've been talking you up to people. And now it's my fault that it wasn't good. But looking at what you've created, and from the previous time that I gave feedback, I didn't see any changes in the content that was being created. And I realized that this person wasn't taking in what I was saying as critique. They were being offended by everything that I was saying. And I think that that's something you run into a lot when it comes to new people trying to make it in a new career field, because they do put a lot of passion into it. They do have these grand ideas of what they can be and what they can create for people. But as someone who has been in this career field for going on 9 years now, I realize that there's a lot to creating things for an audience, for your clients, because you not only have to create stuff, you also have to test it. You also have to modify it. You also have to kind of fail a lot of times before you can succeed. And I was the type of person that was like, hey, I want to create something to where I can help you not have to fail as many times as I did so that you can get to the success a lot sooner. But I realized that some people really get offended by critiques, and it wasn't that I didn't share positive feedback as well. I had to even look back at the messages and I was like, wait, like I've done nothing but give you positive feedback of how intelligent you are and how you've done so many things. And then I was like, this person is saying that I've ruined their work. And I was like, no. You are the type of person, instead of owning up to the fact that you did not do the work to gather information to determine what type of connection points you needed to add, you didn't do any of that, and you just created, and you didn't put in the effort to make sure that it landed with the people that you were connecting with and selling these seats to. And when I kind of looked at it, I was honestly a little offended that they were putting that blame on me as the person that failed them, when in every conversation I've had with them, I tried gentle nudges in the right direction to kind of say, hey, this is a lot of information. I tried being a little bit more direct and I offended them. And I was like, you know what? This relationship doesn't work for me. Like, I'm the type of person where I like to be straightforward with people. I like to just say, hey, I see that you're struggling here. Here's why it's not landing. And I've never asked people to sugarcoat things for me. I have had people critique my work and I will listen. And if it sounds like something like it's an everybody thing versus just a one person thing, I take into consideration what I need to modify to connect better with people. It's really important not to take one person's feedback and assume that it is a blanket statement for everyone. But when you've got a large group of people who are all saying like, this is not good, this is too much, it's great, but it made me feel stupid. Like, all of that feedback has to be considered, and then you have to make the choice. Do I want to modify my stuff, or do I need to be more clear that I am gearing this towards an audience with a little bit more experience? But I started to realize that professional connection / friendship was not serving me, because they would much rather label me as the bad guy or the person who did something wrong instead of owning up to the work that they did not do. And as I've moved forward, I've realized that those are not the type of connections that I need. As you start to figure these things out, and I'm sure there's lots of different relationships out there that you can kind of feel that it's not serving you, or it's not creating an environment for you to be able to thrive in, that you've really got to learn how to kind of push those people out. Because if you let them sit around you too long, you are risking putting yourself in an environment where you will not succeed, but also the connections that are meant for you, that come into your life because of the work that you're doing and the connections that you're making by networking. If you've got those seats filled by people who are not really good and healthy for you, the people who are meant to sit in those seats will come and go. They will just pass you by, because a lot of hardworking people aren't going to fight for a seat at your table, especially if the rest of the guests at that table are negative or toxic to you. More than likely, these people who are succeeding have already learned the lesson that having toxic people around you is not healthy, and they saw you as someone who was like, wow, this person's great, but I'm not going to sacrifice my peace, my clean air with these toxic people that are around that person. And I've realized that over the years. Like, I've had really good friends that really enjoyed being around me, were inspired by the work that I was doing, but because I held certain people in my inner circle, they were like, I really enjoy being around you, but I don't want to be in a space with this person. And at first I was offended because a lot of the people I kept in my circle I cared about, but the more I examined my inner circle, I started realizing that I did need to learn how to trim and get rid of some of the people that were at my inner circle level, because it wasn't beneficial to me and it wasn't helping me move towards my goals. In a lot of sense, I served the people at my table, but they didn't serve me. And I think that that's really important. I think it's important for people to know that there is a level of balance. Like, you do not have to be the person who's always giving. Make sure that the people at your inner circle, your table, are also giving back to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be the fair exchange of, I give you $10, you give me $10 later. Sometimes it can be, this person can give you time or advice when you can give them other resources in exchange. And when you start to learn those things, you start to build a circle around you that is full of people who are excited to be in your circle, are excited to connect with other people in your circle, and they will do anything that they can to stay in that circle because it's a mutual space of benefits for everyone in that space. So as you grow as a professional, as you reach towards your passions, make sure that you are aware that you will come across many toxic people. Maybe you'll run into a toxic environment. Like, I lived in a place once where there was a train track right outside of my home, and that train would come so frequently that my environment frustrated me. I couldn't exist out of frustration. So as soon as that lease was up, I decided this environment does not feel like an environment I want to continue to be in. You can make the most of certain situations if you are stuck there, but be aware that you do have the choice to take an action to remove yourself from environments that don't serve you. So just as easy as it is to get rid of people out of your life, be aware that your environment may also be something that you need to change. Hopefully this video was helpful to you all. If you want, feel free to put some comments in the comment section below to let me know about maybe some situations that you're in now that maybe I can help you with. I love connecting with you in the comments. And as always, feel free to like, subscribe, share this video for anyone that may be able to relate to it, because now that I'm restarting here on YouTube, I want to make sure that my content gets out to all the right people. And hopefully you all are having a great week so far. It's actually snowing outside here right now in Richmond, Virginia, which I was thankful for the first couple of snows, but now I'm ready for it to be spring and some of the green leaves to come out. But it'll get here when it gets here. But hope you guys are having a good time, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.